Imagine you being able to say whatever you want to say and feel however you wanted to feel and think however you wanted to think without consequence. Imagine being able to do this without even thinking of any consequence. When you can start to talk before you even think, without worrying about hurting people's feelings, without worrying about who's thinking this, without worrying about who's thinking that. It's a liberating experience, right? And that's what I'm actively finding right now, even. What I realized is that, like, authenticity and the search for truth is the number one thing in your self-improvement journey. I can talk about productivity and managing your time better. I can talk about getting rid of your bad habits. I can talk about all that stuff. But what's even deeper and more important that I'd like to share is authenticity. And I've sort of developed my view on what authenticity actually is. And it's not coming and crying to the camera. It's not like creating this whole like sob story and this whole like thing that you think like, oh, I'm gonna say this and I don't care what people think, but you actually do care what people think. It's literally saying and doing what you want to do and being able to be proud of what you do and liking what you do and being certain with what you do. It's being confident with what you do. Are you really confident when you come crying to the camera? So what if you could say what you wanted to say without any consequence, without worrying about, oh, well, this is going to offend this person and this is going to offend this person and I can't say this because this person's watching. What if? And that's what I'm realizing is that I can do that. And that's what I'm doing right now. And I was in like this webinar from school. It's like an online community. And Alex Hormozy was talking about authenticity. And he said that authenticity is simply how would you behave and how would you act and what would you say if there were no consequences? Who would you be if there was no consequences? And therefore, no guilt. You can be what you wanted to be, no guilt. I used to care what like my neighbors would think, and I used to care what my roommate would think when I'm making these videos. I used to care what my family would think, and I still do. Like, to a certain extent, I do care what these people think, but imagine if I can just say what I wanted to say without this fear or this like monitor, And I feel like we have a monitor in all situations. Like when you're at work, you have that monitor like, oh, I can't really say that thing because it might offend that person, or I can't really say that I like this because it might cause a weird reaction, or I can't really truthfully say this, or I have to laugh because everybody else is laughing, or I have to do this because this is what you're supposed to do. And we have this monitor that is keeping us slave to it. Imagine if we can break that monitor, if we can say what we want to say in all situations. Like if someone tells a joke and it's not funny, you don't have to awkwardly laugh. If it's not funny, then don't laugh, And I know it might sound crazy what I'm saying, but think of how much energy and think of how much of yourself you're not being when you do laugh and when it's not funny, when you say things that you don't really want to say, or speak this type of lingo and behave this certain way just because you're supposed to, or it would be awkward if you didn't, or if you said no and you disappointed some people. Think of if none of that really mattered and you really could do what you wanted to do. how would that look? And that's authenticity from my understanding. And it's my view of authenticity has changed. I'm not going to act like I'm the almighty like guy who's preaching what authenticity is. This is just my own like discovery, and that's why I wanted to share. But what I think it is that it's really really like being what you want to be, really, and it's deep. And I'm not gonna lie, like you know, it's like we can't totally like, when we're in social situations, we have to, be a human and be understanding, and there is sort of like rules, and there is sort of like social norms that we have to follow. But it's interesting though, like what if we didn't follow them? Like how would that look? I mean, they're just constructs. They're through like collective, it's like a collective construct, like the social norms and stuff. What if we didn't really have to follow those? Like what if we could actually just do what we wanted to do? And another thing I wanted to say, or I mean, I didn't even script anything on this video because I want to show you like what I think authenticity is. But another thing I wanted to say is that I actually forget. Oh yeah, selfishness. You might think like, but isn't that selfish? Like, don't you have to give a little bit of yourself? And what I think selfishness is actually different than what I used to think it was. And what I think selfishness actually is not being yourself. It's faking stuff. It's like doing things because you're supposed to. That's selfish. I think that being more honest and truthful can be the most abundant place you can be in. You're able to give when you be yourself. You're able to actually help people when you be yourself. And if you get over the fear of offending people and them looking at you a certain way, and you get over the fear of having to meet these certain criterias, and oh, I have to say this because this person's going to think this about me. I have to say this because this person's going to think that I'm not this character or this character, and like you're just balancing a fucking character. And that is selfish. But giving who you really are is an abundant place. So that's what I'm learning. And that's when I first started my YouTube channel, I used to make those like raw, authentic, or at least what I thought were raw, authentic videos, and it was enjoying. Like, this is a liberating experience, being able to say what I say. There's no script, there's no structure. I'm just being. I'm just saying what I think. And I don't care about the consequences. And it's liberating. And that was a feeling that I liked when I first started creating my YouTube videos. And I do still want to help people. I do want to grow my business. And I do want to, like, and that's authentic too, growing my business and helping people with productivity and time management. But also, it's authentic to say stuff like this, like what I'm saying. So I know this video was totally weird and different, but hopefully you at least got some value out of it. I remember when I first started like consuming content that I thought was like changing my beliefs and my mind. It was this Indian spiritual teacher, and his name was Osho, and the way he spoke, I was like, holy shit, I've never heard anything like this before. And that is what helped the most. It was like this guy was speaking out of a place of, I've never heard this before. And it's because I haven't heard it before. But if we just regurgitate what everybody else is saying, then you're just watching a guy who's regurgitating stuff. What if we can be more creative and we can say what we think, create in that regard, and that's actually providing value because you're creating new information that doesn't exist out there, or at least it's not formatted in a way that exists out there. You know, it's new, it's brand new. It's the most new you can get because it doesn't exist. That is new. And think of how fresh that sounds